So it's the perfect setting for a gold medal game because both teams are undefeated coming in. Both went through the preliminary round with 5-0 records. Each won Friday in the opener of medal round play. The Soviets shut out Canada. Czechoslovakia shut Sweden out. And there are the Soviets gathered round TRETYAK. Man without the helmet leaving the scene there was Mushkin, Vladimir Mushkin, the backup goalie, the man upon whom Mike Eruzione scored in 1980 at Lake Placid. They've been going with TRETYAK in this tournament. He's in his 4th Olympics. He played in Sapporo in 1972, Innsbruck in 1976, Lake Placid in 1980, and now here.
The Soviets seem to go through this very curious ritual before each game. There's the big huddle, then the huddle of the 5 players who are about to start around TRETYAK, and then the 2 defensemen sharing the final words.
There is the coach, Viktor Tikhonov. He was also the coach in 1980. And you heard the interview with Ludek Bukac. He talked about the matchup that he sought, and there it is as they open up this way. Krutov, Makarov, and Larionov for the Soviets, with the Korbela and Salder unit for the Czechoslovaks. Yaромир ШИНДЕЛ on the right has just been magnificent, as has TRETYAK as they start in goal. And if you're wondering about the officials, all neutral officials, of course, in a situation like this, the referee is from Sweden, Д.Олссон, and the linesmen are from Sweden and Finland. There is Olsson. So the final game of the Olympic hockey tournament, and remember, a tie, and the Soviets, because of goal differential, would win the gold medal. The Soviets in red, Czechoslovakia in white. Igor Larionov with the puck over to КАСАТОНОВ. Makarov, number 24, one of several veterans, 10 in fact from the 1980 team. КАСАТОНОV skating in. He's taken down, and the puck is cleared back to center ice where Vyacheslav FETISOV controls for the Soviets. FETISOV being forechecked and losing the puck now. Skating in with it is Korbela. Korbela goes down, and FETISOV takes the puck away. Cross ice up ahead to Krutov, pass too long, and Miroslav Horzheva back to get it for the Czechs. Horzheva up ahead to Chernik, their captain, shot on TRETYAK, and a save for a save of the game. Kihos centers it, but Krutov comes up with it for the Soviets. Intercepted now by Frantisek Chernik. The veteran captain of the Soviet team. КАСАТОНОV takes him down. The Czech fans want a penalty and don't get it. Scrapping for it back of the net is Iri Lala. Chernik comes up with it, centers it, but Kihos couldn't get his stick on it. Back it comes to the point now. Kodlec shoots it in, and it's blocked in front. Now to Horzheva. Horzheva puts it in on TRETYAK, and a stick save as he clears it off to the side, and Krutov takes the pressure off, and we'll have an icing call coming up here. So the Czechs put the initial pressure on. We played 1 minute 30 seconds in the gold medal game. Soviets nothing, Czechoslovakia nothing. Yeah, quite in contrast to the Canada game the other night. In that game, Canada did not have a shot on goal for the first 16 minutes. Czechs in white, Soviets in red. This is Skvortsov getting it up ahead. Taken there by Ubiran, shot back in.
This is the top Czech line with Rusnak, Liba, and Lukac. They expect a lot of offense from them. There's some doubt about number 11, Liba, who has an injured knee and was not even expected to play today.
Liba goes down at center ice as Vasiliev skates all the way in. Ubira rides him out of the play. Colvin tries to center the puck. Kept in by Skvortsov and then taken away by Liba. Czechs come back in as Liba skates in over the blue line to Lukac, backhander, and it was wide. And one of the Czech players wound up in the net as Liba went sliding in. Ubirak controlling now at center ice. Back to Kihos. Up in front to Erdina. Erdina skates in. He's taken out of the play by BILYALEDDINOV. And the Soviets clear it to the center zone. And come back now with Humanov, number 28. Getting it in over the blue line. Drozdetsky shoots it in. Back of the net. Pavel Richter, number 12 for Czechoslovakia. This is Richter again. Ruzicka, number 17, can't control the center ice, and it's shot back into the Czechoslovakian end by Kozevnikov, number 29 for the Soviets. No score with 17 minutes to play in the first period in the game for the gold medal. Richter tries to get it up ahead for Erdina. Now this is Milan Halupa. His shot goes wide and comes all the way out to center ice where Salder, number 19, gets it back in, but only momentarily. Kozevnikov had to wait for Drozdietsky to get back on side, and he didn't wait long enough as Drozdietsky was in over the blue line ahead of the play. Viktor Tikhonov, the head coach of the Soviets. You know, the joke in our country, of course, was that we figured he'd be in Siberia by now. It didn't turn out to be that way, of course, as he still coaches the national team seeking the gold medal here.
Lukács making a nice play here. And the shot just hitting the side of the net. The Czechoslovaks are getting off to a much faster start than I had anticipated. I thought they would play the first 10 minutes in a very cautious kind of way. In fact, they are pressing the action.
Quite in contrast to the way the Canadian team played the other night. They stayed in the game. There was no score halfway through, but all of the pressure outside of a brief flurry in the first period that night was put on by the Soviets. A little bit more than 16 minutes remaining to be played in the first period. FETISOV shoots it in, and it's deflected and then cleared out to center ice. Kasatonov leaves it for number 23. That is Alexander Gerasimov. Kasatonov has to regroup again. And the Soviets able to shoot it into the corner, pursued by Gerasimov. And back out it comes to center ice. Number 2, Vyacheslav FETISOV. Nice cross-ice pass to Gerasimov, but he's offside. And we'll have a face-off in the neutral zone. 15 minutes and 43 seconds to play in the period. Mike, your initial impressions now of the game?
As Ken is, very surprised that the Czechoslovakian team has really kept the pressure on the Soviet Union team. Also, they've sat back when the Soviet Union team has come at them and played that real tough, tight type of defense that we expect from the team.
Czechs are a team that has really come a long way very quickly. Ken and I saw them in Moscow in December of the Izvestia tournament and came away thinking they would be no match in the Olympics for the Soviets. This is Larionov skating in, but they're offside as Krutov was in just ahead of the play on the left wing and has a word with D.Olsson, the referee.
That's something that happens very rarely to the Soviets. They go offside perhaps only 2 or 3 times in a game, and especially on a play like that when they're breaking in 2-on-1. A very careless play by Krutov at the top of the screen. Now, even if the play is close, as it is there, and in fact it may not have been offside, it is simply a risk that you're taking, and an unnecessary risk because the 2-on-1 was there.
Call was made by the Swedish linesman, Tomas Mosström. František Černík. Moving it up ahead. This is Kios now skating in. Nice centering pass, and Erdina couldn't get the shot away as it comes into the corner. Soviets able to clear it ahead, and the call for an offside here. So a face-off coming up with a little bit more than 15 minutes to go in the first period. Several Soviets, but most of the arena backing the Czechoslovaks today as the Soviets seek to regain the gold medal. They won it in '76. The Czechs have never won an Olympic gold medal, but during the 1970s, they did win 3 world championships. Kovin is checked at center ice as the puck goes into the corner. Cleared around the boards. Rusnak tries to get it out and can't. Běloletdinov scrapping with Igor Liba. Now the Czechs move it up ahead to Vincent Lukács, number 29. Lukács feeding Igor Liba. Liba up ahead to Lukács again, but he went down at the blue line, and it comes back to the stick of Milan Halupa. Liba can't control. The Soviets take over at center ice. Nice cross-ice pass here to Skvortsov, skating in on the right wing. Skvortsov left it for Kovin, but he couldn't get the shot away, and it's cleared to the side by Yaромir ШИНДЕЛ. And tied up in the corner for a face-off.
I think very soon ŠINDEL is going to want to get involved in this game. We've played now almost 6 minutes. He has not yet had a shot, and it's about this time that you start to think about that. You wonder if you're ready. You see TRETЯK making a save or 2 at the other zone. You start to worry. You start to put yourself outside of the game. You want to immerse yourself in the game.
ŠINDEL with 2 straight shutouts. He has shut out Canada and Sweden. In fact, the Czechs have not given up a goal since early in the second period against Finland, and that was Monday. FETISOV in on the right side, skating in is Kozevnikov, and the puck is cleared into the seats, and a face-off.
Starting in the last couple of minutes to get more into the kind of game that we anticipated from the beginning. Cautious, close checking, and both teams really feeling themselves out and looking for that chance. Both teams are very good opportunists. They are good scorers. As Mike Ruzioni said before, the Soviets, if they have an advantage, it is there. They're better opportunists.
This is Drozdetsky, number 13. He centers it, and he gets it back and then shoots wide, just wide.
Usually they're better opportunists. Drozdetsky had the whole open net.
And Drozdetsky has scored 10 goals in this tournament. He's number 13. Shot in, hits the crossbar, and then bounces in off Schindel's shoulder. It hit the crossbar and then deflected in off the back of Yaромir Šindel at the 6:38 mark as the Soviets take a 1-0 lead.
Schindelhad just gotten away with one a moment before when Drozdetsky had missed the open net. There you can see the shot. It goes over Schindel's shoulder, hits the crossbar, goes back, hits his back, and into the net. You can see it again. There's a shot. It beats Šindel, but goes off him and back into the net. It's the kind of goal that just, it's crushing at this moment for Šindel, for the Czech team. Schindel's been on a real roll through this Olympics. He's played well, but you also get a sense that he's just getting more and more and more confidence. And at this moment, his confidence is in a little bit of doubt now.
The goal by Alexander Kozevnikov, number 29, 1-0, the Soviets on top. Coming up on the 7-minute mark in the first period. And it's covered up by Šindel. Shepelev trying to stuff it in. Viktor Tikhonov and half of the 1980 team back with him. 10 of the 20 played at Lake Placid. Another look now at the goal.
See the puck striking the crossbar behind Šindel, but then unfortunately for Šindel, the puck then rebounding, hitting him in the back, and going over the goal line for the goal.
Up there at Drozdetsky, their leading scorer in this tournament. Soviets have now outscored their opponents 47-5. Czechoslovakia in white and the Soviets in red. Yuri Lala scrapping with the puck along with Kihos. Soviets trying to take the pressure off now. And are able to clear it out to center ice, where Homanov loses the puck. Now this is number 23, Gerasimov to Starikov. Up ahead and intercepted by Benok. Benok's slap shot is saved by TRETYAK, and a penalty is coming up here. We've got a penalty coming up on the Soviets. So the Czechs will have a man advantage. The penalty against Sergei Makarov, number 24. Slashing.
Comes at an important time for the Czechs. Finding themselves behind by 1 goal, they now get a chance to go on offense. There's the shot taken, and you can see the action involving Makarov and number 14 for the Czechs, Chernik. The slash, and Makarov is off for 2 minutes.
That comes at the 7:40 mark of the first period. Soviets on top by a score of 1-0. Czechs with a man advantage, though. Borzhev on number 4 sweeps it into the corner. FETISOV, who not only plays on the power play but also kills penalties for the Soviet team, is able to clear it the length of the ice, and Arnold Kadlec is back to get it, being pursued by Larionov. Soviets forechecking as Kadlec has it back of his net. Now Kadlec, along with Liba, starting out of their own end. Rusnak gets it into the Soviet zone, but it's cleared back now, and Krutov comes in alone over the blue line. Krutov leaves it for Larionov. And back it comes to center ice with 1 minute and 12 seconds remaining in the penalty.
You can see from behind, there's a shot by Kozhevnikov. Beats Schindel. Schindel perhaps might have had that shot the first time around, and then unfortunately hitting him and going in.
11:31 left in the first period. Penalty to Sergei Makarov of the Soviet Union. So the Czechs skating with a man advantage. Soviet Union on top, 1-0 in the game for the gold medal. Both teams undefeated coming into the game. Again, if this game winds up in a tie because of goal differential, the Soviets would win the gold medal. So the Czechs need a win for the gold. 40 seconds now remaining in the penalty. Shot in by Ubira around the boards. Richter goes after it. Ubira is able to keep it in, but now it comes back out to center ice. Czechs have to get back on side as it's cleared into the corner. And offside is the call, with only 28 seconds now remaining in the penalty, and the Soviets doing a very good job killing it off.
Well, they are, and the Czechs seem to be shaken by the goal that was scored against them. They had a real nice flow going before that goal, and now they're just kind of, they're in spasm out there, and they're not smooth. They haven't even threatened. They really haven't had the puck in the Soviet zone through almost all of the power play.
This is Drozdietsky, comes in over the blue line along with Humanov. Shot and a pad save and another save by Schindel off the rebound.
Those are saves not only important to the Czech team, but also to Schindel.
Chernik losing it, but Benok comes up with it. Only 10 seconds now remaining in Makarov's penalty. Starikov breaks up the play. Drozdietsky shoots it down the length of the ice, and that will effectively kill off the penalty. So all of the pressure was put on by the Soviets, who were shorthanded as we approach the halfway mark of the first period. Now Salder started in, but couldn't take the puck with him, and Makarov, who just got out of the penalty box, number 24, passes it in ahead for the Soviets. Lex and Shepelev scrap for it. This is Korbalon, number 26. Forecheck by Polmatov. Puck in back of the Czechoslovakia net as Polmatov gets it out to the point. Kasatonov's shot is deflected in front by Pacek. And another deflection, this time by Kotlet, blocking the shot. Puck sliding through the slot and finally cleared back to center ice by the Czechs. Fetisov, though, quickly up ahead. His pass too long for Larionov, who shoots it in back of the net. Now this is Fetisov coming in. His shot is blocked in front by Kotlet, who went down. Kasatonov, another slap shot, a great shot by Schindel.
Czechs are really disorganized here, giving up all sorts of good chances.
And finally pinned against the boards, and let's have another look now at the only goal in the game from the reverse angle, Mike.
Here's another look at it. Again, a bad break, actually, for the Czech goaltender, Schindel. Here's the shot, and it looked like maybe it was going over the net, hit the crossbar, back off his leg, and into the goal. So a bad situation for the Czechoslovakian goalie because he wanted to come out and start the game with a few big saves.
We have 8 minutes and 56 seconds remaining in the first period at the Zetra Arena. The game for the gold. 1-0, the Soviets on top. Team skating at full strength. Igor Liba cleared ahead to center ice, taken there by Pervukin. Now Makarov slides it up ahead for Krutov, taken by Larionov, and Makarov goes into the corner after it. Makarov out in front. Bilyaletinov shot is deflected, and back come the Czechs. Cleared up ahead by Igor Liba, but from his half of the ice, and thus we have an icing call here. And a face-off upcoming with 8:25 to go in the first period. The Soviets won, the Czechs nothing. Well, the Soviet Union did not even enter the Olympics until 1956. There it is, 47-4-2 is their all-time record. And they won the gold medal in all but 2 instances as Kovin's shot is covered up by Schindel on a great save. So Schindel really being tested after Ken had mentioned earlier he had not been involved in the game for the first 6 minutes. The initial pressure was being applied by the Czechs, but he's involved now.
Well, a little more so than he wants to be. The Czechs, again, who have an outstanding defensive team, are having all sorts of trouble in this last minute or so. And those are the kinds of chances that the Soviets often and in the future will put away if the Czechs don't start to prevent them.
Comes out to the point where Stelnov tries to keep it in and does, along with Shepelev. Now this is Shepelev sliding it into the corner. Tied up by Richter. And a penalty coming up on the Czechs. So the Soviets lead by a score of 1-0, and now they're going to have a man advantage as Iri Erdina is being sent to the penalty box.
Well, you can see the penalty, number 24, Erdina, trying to run a little bit of interference for his teammate Richter, and he gets a penalty. Now, he made the point before, but I mean, it is the Czechs have gotten off to a stumbling start after the first couple of minutes, and this is the kind of sequence that you do not want to get yourself involved in. Having an unfortunate goal, a penalty, now another penalty. You've got to start establishing some sort of rhythm. The Soviets are such a good team that I'm not so sure that the Czechs, deep in their hearts, no matter how well they have played this week, really believe they can beat the Soviets. They've got to start playing well to get that feeling.
The Soviet power play is normally a treat to watch, features a lot of crisp passing, but it begins here with the puck coming back out to center ice. Now this is Krutov skating in over the right wing. He leaves it for Larionov. He sweeps in. Great save by Schindel. And cleared all the way down the ice by Iri Lala.
Well, it was a fine save by Schindel, but after a terrible defensive mistake by Arnold Kadlec, who is a good defenseman, but he often makes that kind of bad play.
Now this is Kasatonov skating in for Krutov. Krutov trying to center it, and Schindel covers up. So they have killed off 39 seconds of the penalty thus far, and 12 out of 21 is a tremendous percentage. They're playing against a team that has done a very good job. The Czechoslovaks have been able to kill off every penalty in the last 19 of the last 19 as you look at Tikhonov. The other night, the Soviets against Canada, several power play opportunities, a lot of crisp passing, but not much shooting.
Well, the Canadian team just collapsed towards the net and gave little chance for it.
Fetisov shot deflected, goes wide. Now brought out to Kasatonov, to Fetisov. Again, another slap shot was partially deflected, like a changeup coming in on Schindel, and he covers up.
Well, against Canada the other night, the Soviets were having a hard time on the power play because Canada was collapsing towards the zone, and they were trying to penetrate it with passes, and there was no room. Tonight, they are coming out shooting. As you can see there, 2 consecutive shots by Fetisov. There's Fetisov's shot, deflected in front, almost onto the stick of Larionov, just sliding by the net.
7 minutes remaining in the period. Soviets on top, 1-0, a minute 3 seconds remaining in the penalty. Soviets with a man advantage with Erdina in the penalty box. And they clear at the length of the ice.
The power play unit for the Soviets is their top 5 and their big scoring line. Krutov, Makarov, and Larionov. But in this Olympics, so far they have yet to get on track, and it's a cause of great concern for the Soviet team.
This is Fetisov now. 35 seconds remaining in the penalty to Erdina. Fetisov again, number 2. For Krutov, he leaves it for Makarov. Makarov into the corner, circling back of the net. Makarov can't center it. Down he goes, and another penalty is coming up. With 17 seconds remaining in the penalty to Erdina. Another penalty now coming up on the Czechoslovak. You
can see the penalty being called here. Makarov is tripped by number 5, Halupa. The Czechs are really in trouble.
Well, for 17 seconds, the Soviets will have a 2-man advantage. We have 6:14 to go in the period. The Czechs do not have a man in the penalty box. The Soviets are arguing that the Czechs have 4 men out on the ice. The board does not list a second penalty.
Referee Olsson definitely had his hand in the air.
No question. But right now the penalty to Erdina is over. And the teams are once again skating at equal strength. So what everybody thought was a penalty, and the referee in fact gave the slashing signal, the call for slashing, and nobody went into the box. So the teams are at equal strength as Tumanov has his shot blocked by Kadlec. Gets it in front to Grozdievsky, comes back to the stick of Tumanov, and cleared out. Tumanov now skates in over the blue line. And Grozdievsky and Kadlec tie it up. It appeared the Soviets thought there should have been a second man in the boxes. That sequence began, Ken.
Absolutely, and while the play was going on, they were arguing with the referee. The players were up on the bench, and yet everything seems to have passed. The referee is going over to the penalty box
Nobody
now.
come out. Nobody.
It's number 5 slashing, yeah?
Yeah.
Soviet Union.
Yeah, no, check. Check.
Well, you don't even have to understand the language to know that number 5 Czech is Halupa. So we've got some major confusion here, because as we went to a commercial, we told you there'd be 2 men in the penalty box. We come back, there's only 1. The Soviets start to argue. The teams are at equal strength now, and now they're going to try to sort it out.
Well, and the confusion only escalates here. Now you can see Makarov sweeping around the net. Now I think in a moment in the corner you're going to see the referee with his hand up calling the penalty. There he is. He has his hand up to call the penalty. He's making the slashing sign, but no Czech player went over to the penalty box. Now, what does he do now? Does he just give the penalty? Does he give an additional penalty? The problem, or the argument that the Soviets would surely have, is that that penalty, if it had been served at that time, would have given them a 2-man advantage. Now they only get a 1-man advantage.
They would have had a 2-man advantage for 17 seconds and then a 1-man for another 1:43. There it is. This is the play in question. And then we went to commercial, and we came back, and there was nobody in the penalty box outside of Erdina, who had already been there. And there's the man Halupa, who was called for the penalty, so now he goes in. And rarely in a game of this significance has something like this taken place.
I think it's pretty interesting. The Czechoslovakian team definitely got the better of that deal. Instead of, as Ken mentioned, a 5-on-3, now they got to kill a 5-on-4 situation. So maybe the tide's going to change for them with that break.
Meanwhile, what they have to do now is kill off another penalty, and that's a promising start as it's cleared down to TRETIAK. So Halupa in the penalty box with under 5 minutes to go in the first period. Shepelev skating in with it. Out to the point to Bilyaletinov. Bilyaletinov slap shot is deflected. Pervuchin has it. Pervuchin's shot is cleared aside by Schindel, who comes out of the net. Gerasimov, number 23, sliding it over to Holmatov. Out now to Bilyaletinov, whose shot is wide. And Pervuchin from the left point now. Pervuchin leaving it for Shepelev. 1:15 left in the penalty. Schindel is able to clear it. Back of the net. Chased by Holmatov. Back out to the point again as the Soviets keep the pressure on. Bilyaletinov's shot is blocked. And the Czechs clear it as the penalty is at the halfway mark. 1 minute left now in the penalty to Milan Halupa. Nice pass in front, and then Shepelev couldn't get enough of his stick on it. And Schindel is able to make the save and force a face-off with 56 seconds left in the penalty.
Well, as was the case with the first power play, the Soviets, their basic play is now to work it back to the points and let the shots come to the net, but the Czechs are deflecting the shots, blocking them very effectively so far. Well, I've heard of delayed penalties before.
But that's an Olympic record right there.
That's a world record.
Yeah. 1-0. The Soviets on top with 4 minutes remaining in the period. 48 seconds remaining now in the penalty as the Czechs try to kill off another one. And they've been successful thus far. Cleared all the way down to Larionov. Larionov checked by Korbula. Back it comes now to FETISOV. Up ahead to Makarov. Now FETISOV has it at the point. 20 seconds left in the penalty as Makarov has it in the corner. To FETISOV. To KASATONOV. It's blocked in front by Arnold Kadlec. Czechs trying to clear the zone. If they can, they'll kill the penalty with 5 seconds until Halupa comes out of the box. Here's FETISOV. Again, it's KASATONOV. The penalty is now over, and the teams are back at equal strength. Centered for Krutov. He can't get it, and intercepted by Salder, who shoots it down the length of the ice. And with the teams at equal strength, we have an icing call here. 2:56 left first period. Game for the gold. 1-0 Soviets.
Penalties off without giving up a goal.
Offside is the call here. The Czechs put the early pressure on, but it's been all Soviets since then, outside of the fact that, as Mike just mentioned, the Czechs have killed off those 2 penalties. Soviets, and we've seen it, Ken, over the years, they're the type of team that even though the score may be close, so they can totally dominate a game.
Well, they can, and what they can do better than anybody is they can strike quickly. Just when you think you have a game under control, they can score 2 or 3 goals.
Here comes Chernik sweeping in. He's taken out of the play. Soviets start back the other way. They make that transition from defense to offense incredibly swiftly as it's pinned against the boards with 2:12 to play in the period.
In many ways, what the Soviets can do, what nobody else can do, is that they play with an extra man all the time. They are so fast that they can get their defense, they can add a defenseman to the offensive play. So instead of attacking with 3, they're attacking with 4. Yet they're quick enough that instead of having 2 defense back, they get a 3rd man helping them out. So that it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the defense of an opponent, and then it's a frustrating thing for the opponent to, on offense, always have 3 men facing them.
A little bit more than 2 minutes remaining in the period, and a penalty coming up here with 2 minutes left in the first period, and the Soviets on top by a score of 1-0. It'll be a power play for the Czechoslovaks as Drozdiecki, number 13, goes to the penalty box.
Well, that's a penalty for interference, but in many ways that's just a situational penalty, and you can see it from the expression of Drozdiecki. The Europeans do a little bit more interference, or a lot more interference than in the NHL. But I think as much as anything else, what explains that penalty is the fact that the Czechs have had 3 penalties up until now. The Soviets have not. And that Olsen was going to call the next marginal call against the Soviets.
So a power play here for the Czechs in the waning stages of the first period. This is Richter. Richter slides it through the crease. Ruzicka couldn't get his stick on it. Now it's Ruzicka. It deflects off the Soviet defenseman's skate and cleared out to center ice, where Uvira leaves it for Erdina. And it's taken away by the Soviets now as PERVUCHIN initially can't clear it and now does get it out past the blue line. 1.5 minutes to go in the period. 1:24 remaining in the penalty.
The Czechs have started to put their defense together when killing penalties. Now they got to put the offense together.
This is Richter trying to get it back for Ruzicka. Now Ruzicka able to slide it around, gets the return pass as he goes into the corner. Ruzicka out in front, and Svoboda tried to pass it over to the point, and it comes out past the blue line, so they have to regroup. That much time remaining now in the first period, and a little bit less than that in the penalty to Drozdiecki. And it's shot down the length of the ice by Andrei Holmatov as Arnold Kadlec goes back to start what they hope will be a successful rush here. A chance to tie the game before the period's over, but the Soviets doing a good job killing the penalty to this point. Comes in on TRETYAK, who clears it off to the side. Half a minute now to go in the period. Kodlet's shot, a save by TRETYAK, and then Kios couldn't get there in time for the rebound, and the Soviets take the pressure off with 15 seconds remaining in the penalty, 19 seconds remaining now in the first period. Center ice, it's FETISOV scrapping for it with Liba. Shot back in behind the Czech net with 5 seconds left in the period. The penalty is now over, and so the two teams will go back to their respective dressing rooms after 20 minutes of play in the game for the gold medal. At Sarajevo, the Soviet Union won, and Czechoslovakia nothing. On top by a score of 1-0. In fact, the Czechoslovaks, who are seeking their first ever gold medal, might as well be down by 2 goals, because if you joined us late, what it amounts to is that if the Czechoslovaks and the Soviets tie today, then the Soviets would win the gold medal simply by virtue of goal differential. They have a better goal differential and right now have a 1-goal lead. And Ken Dryden, the first period now, what about the Czechoslovaks? What about their style of play? And how do you assess their chances now after 20 minutes?
Well, they started very well. They started in a very aggressive kind of manner, and then the goal really undid them. And they were reeling for much of the rest of the period. And if I was the Czechs right now, I would almost be happy that I was only down by a goal. They could have been down by a lot more. There you can see the shot from the point. It was really about the first action that the goaltender Schindel had. He may have been a little cold coming into that play, but whatever it was an unfortunate break for him with the puck rebounding off his back and into the net.
So that came at the 6:38 mark, made the score 1-0. Mike Eruzione, we also had one of the oddest circumstances any of us have ever seen. The Czechs had a man in the penalty box. Another man was whistled off for a penalty. He didn't go in. Play resumed. One man came out. Finally, the other guy did go in, but it's something I've never seen before.
I haven't either. I thought it was pretty funny. Maybe it's a language problem in this situation, but he signaled the penalty. You can see in the replay that he signals the slash. Now watch the official. Here's the penalty coming up right now. Right there. There's the slash, and the top left hand of your screen, you're going to see the official with his arm up in the air, indicating, there you see him right near the goal, indicating a penalty. He's making the signal, penalty, slashing, see you later, go to the box number 5, and nobody went. And what happened, the situation was created, instead of the Soviet Union having a 5-on-3 situation, the man came out of the box 17 seconds later, made it a 5-on-4 situation that they had, now a 5-on-5 situation. Instead of having to kill off another penalty, it took them another minute and 6 seconds before they realized the mistake. Then they called the penalty. I've never seen it, but maybe it was the language problem.
Well, as it turned out, they were able to kill off both. You know, it's the national sport of Canada, but the way they play hockey, it appears that the Soviets invented the game. What's particularly fascinating is the fact that they have not played hockey all that long. Ken Dryden takes us through the history of Soviet hockey, a team that did not enter the Olympics until 1956.
This is bandy, like field hockey played on a soccer field of ice, a game that's so
by Kihos, and in turn it is Krutov who comes back with a puck for the Soviets. Lala leaving it for Kihos now as Kihos starts back the other way. Frantisek Chernik, number 14, the team captain, trying to center it, hit the side of the cage and comes off to Krutov. Kodlet's keeps it back in, but Kasatonov comes up with it up ahead to Larionov, who circles. Larionov still controlling. Over to Vasiliev, who shoots and scores. It's Krutov who puts it in for the Soviets. After Larionov had gone down, it looked like they were going to be able to take the puck away from him. He was able to slide it over, and the Soviets lead 2-0.
Finally, that line came through. Here you can see Larionov making a nice play, beating a couple of men to get the Czechs a little disorganized and to open up Krutov. And here's Krutov's shot. There's a little bit of an argument afterwards. Here you can see the defenseman, number 4, Horzhava, possibly screening Schindel a little bit. Schindel was upset at him afterwards, and I think that's what he was complaining about. Now, the key in this situation now is how the Czechs respond. Before the game, I was talking to Dave King, and he thought that the Czechs can get discouraged against the Soviets, that if they fall behind by 2 goals, because the Soviets have beaten them most of the time, they're going to get discouraged. And the point now is they've got to start to force some of that offensive play.
Dave King, the Canadian coach whose team lost earlier today in the game for the bronze medal. Sweden beat Canada 2-0. So Sweden winds up 3rd. Canada finishes 4th. And of course the winner of this game wins the gold, the loser silver. And another look now at the goal.
So Krutov out there about 35 feet out. Schindel went down as if he was expecting a deflection.
2-0, the Soviets on top, a minute and a half into the second period. This is Liba. Liba trying to get it out to the point, and it comes all the way back now where Svoboda leaves it for Liba. Liba loses the puck at center ice, and it comes back down into the Czech end. Ubira, number 7, is checked by Skvortsov. Soviets keeping it in from the point, and now taken by Liba, who takes the pressure off. Nice Karen pass up ahead center ice to Rusnak. He tries to center it to Lukács. Liba now scrapping for it. Liba has it. Circling, comes back out to Milan Halupa. Rusnak in the corner. Liba, number 11. Liba then shoots it back the other way, as they could not keep it in at the blue line, and Ubira has it, number 7.
Those are the important offensive players for the Czechs. Liba, Rusnak, they've been their big scorers all tournament, but they haven't threatened really at all in this game.
Pass is stolen away, but kept in at the blue line by Pavel Richter. Ruzicka trying to center it. Erdina had swept in past the goal line, so had no angle. And Grozietzky, number 13, tries to get it out along with Bilyaletdinov, and they clear it ahead to center ice. This is Grozietzky shooting it in. Schindel leaves it back of the net for Ubira. Now Erdina over to Benok. Benok up ahead. Nice pass to Richter, but Richter is taken out of the play by FETISOV, and the Czechs are offside. 16 minutes, 43 seconds to go in the second period. 2-0 Soviets. The Soviet Union leading by a score of 2-0. We're 3.5 minutes into the second period at the Zetra Arena, the final game of the Olympic hockey tournament. In fact, the final competition of the Olympics right here. Soviets in red, Czechoslovakia in white. Korvela over to Orzhova. Back to Korvela now. Korvela gets it in over the blue line, but the Soviets clear it back to center ice, and they begin now a 2-on-1. Gerasimov comes in, and the shot is blocked very nicely by Kodlets, number 8, and it's tied up against the boards for a face-off. And Gerasimov and Kodlets, along with Kasatonov, number 7, begin to mix it a bit.
One of the curious things about the larger international ice surface is that when you have two teams that are really mismatched, the scores of the games get higher, because the better team can use the extra ice surface, use the extra time and space to get the good scoring chance. But when you have two evenly matched teams, you don't get the kind of fluky goals that you would normally have on a smaller ice surface with deflections and screens and so on, because there is more ice, more open ice.
Larionov, number 11, shooting it in around the boards. Now Svoboda, number 15, for the Czechs. Passing it up ahead for Lala. Pass too long for Lala to handle, and Stelnov tries to get it out, but the Czechs are able to keep it in, and a penalty is coming up as Chernek takes it in the mouth. František Chernek, the Czechoslovakian captain, perhaps trying to convince the official that he's drawn blood as well. But apparently he hasn't.
Here's the play as it developed. There's number 11, Larionov, and reaching up, catching Chernek right on the chin.
Time of that penalty is 4:21, second period.
Larionov has been very much in the doghouse of Coach Viktor Tikhonov. After the first game that they played against Poland, the next day in practice, Tikhonov, in effect, exiled him. He didn't send him off. He didn't send him onto the bench. He had him skate around the ice, but by himself. And when his line mates, Krutov and Makarov, were involved in drills, when they're involved in the scrimmage, when they're involved in line rushes, they had to do it as 2 rather than 3, and Larionov had to watch him. And it continued after the second game against Italy. He may be back in it after that penalty.
Giving the Czech a man advantage here as Liba gets it up ahead for Lukács. Lukács has it poke checked away by Pervukin, and the Soviets get it back to center ice. Now Yaroslav Benok for Halupa to Igor Liba. Benok starting back in, and Benok backhands it in behind the net. Běloletdinov sweeping it along the boards, and Vasiliev is able to get it back over the blue line. 1 minute and 13 seconds remaining in the penalty. And down go Běloletdinov. Benok and also the referee as well along the far boards, as you see the time remaining on Larionov's penalty. Exactly 59 seconds remaining in the penalty as Běloletdinov and Krutov and also Milan Halupa begin to mix it, but Olsen has not called a penalty. All right, Mike.
Well, at the beginning of the game, Al, I talked about how important it was for the Czechoslovakian team to get off to a good start. Well, the last goal by Krutov, making the score 2-0, is going to make it awfully difficult for the Czechs to get back in the game, so they need that next goal. Let's get a look at the goal. Larionov making the rush down the ice, doing a real good job of, one, holding on to the puck, not getting knocked off the puck until he finally finds somebody open. Now there he moves the puck across to Krutov. Nice little wrist shot, low, far corner, beating Schindel. Score right now, 2-0.
And we have 52 seconds remaining in the penalty to Larionov. Ruzicka. Ruzicka sweeping all the way in, back of the net. Richter's shot was deflected off Kasatanov's skate. Borjova sweeping it over to Erdina. Now Ruzicka in front. Ruzicka has it blocked by Kovin very nicely and cleared away.
Ruzicka made a very nice play, and then he waited too long. He had a good angle shot, waited, and finally the Soviet defenseman was able to recover and block the shot.
And Kovin is able to clear it away again, so they're going to kill off the penalty with just 5 seconds remaining now until Larionov gets out of the box. This is Pashek. Teams are now in full strength. TRETYAK was able to get his stick on it. That was not a shot on goal, though, as he clears it into the corner. Czechs trying to keep the pressure on. Both teams at full strength. 13.5 minutes to go now in the second period. Pashek to number 19, Salder, and it's saved by TRETYAK. Best opportunity for the Czechs here in the second period. But Salder couldn't put it in from in front, and the call here is icing.
The Czechs have had just about no scoring opportunities the whole game. And what is a very crushing moment is when you finally get a good scoring chance, and a goalie like TRETYAK makes the big save. There's a nice pass from Pashek to Salder in front. Now, he didn't have too much chance to do much with it because he was in tight close to TRETYAK. But the score remains 2-0.
This is a...
In the second period, teams at full strength. Soviet Union on top 2-0 in the battle for the gold. Remember, if this game winds up in a tie, the Soviets win the gold because of goal differential. So in essence, the Czechs need 3 right now. Humanov has the play broken up at center ice. Here comes Chernik in, skating in with Lala. Trying to get it back to Lala, and it's cleared out by STELNOV. Now Kihos has his pass intercepted, and Homanov couldn't get his stick on it off the pass from Drozdietsky. And we'll have a face-off coming up now in the neutral zone. Nikolai Grozdiecki and the Czech coach, Lulek Bukac, speaks fluent English. Brought his team into the Olympics in optimum shape. Most of the crowd rooting for Czechoslovakia. Talked to a couple of locals today. They said all the folks in Sarajevo would be rooting for the Czechs as well. In addition to the people who have come down from the country itself. Icing the call here with 12 minutes and 7 seconds remaining in the second period.
As you might imagine, the Soviets and the Czechs are bitter rivals, a little bit less bitter than they were perhaps a decade ago. But I was a member of a Canadian team in the World Championships in 1969, just after the Soviet invasion of Czechoslovakia, and the two games that the Czechs and the Soviets played there were among the best I've ever seen. The Czechs won both games and ended up losing the World Championships because they lost to Sweden twice. But this is a different generation of player. That player had experienced that feeling firsthand. This is a second generation of player, and that's a fairly distant and second-hand memory to them.
Still, a Czechoslovakian victory today, if they could pull it off, would obviously mean just about as much to that country as the 1980 win meant to the people in the United States after what took place at Lake Placid. In a different sense, but emotionally, it will be just as intense. Liba can't handle it. And offside are the Czechs with 11 minutes and 35 seconds remaining in the second period. Igor Liba has scored 4 goals thus far in the tournament. The Czechs come in unbeaten 6-0 and have played just scintillating defense throughout. 3 shutouts coming into this game, but down 2-0. Flat shot is blocked. Larionov comes up with the puck for the Soviets. Shoots it in the length of the ice. And Kodlets is back to make the touch and create a face-off. As you can see, the Soviet Union has won a medal in all of the Olympics they've entered since 1956, 5 golds, 1 silver. That was in 1980, and then 1 bronze. The bronze came in 1960 when the Americans won at Squaw Valley, and the Canadians took the silver that year. Approaching the halfway mark of the second period and the halfway mark of the hockey game. 2-0, the Soviets on top. FETISOV up ahead to KASATONOV. He's ridden out of the play, and Richter scrapping for it in the corner. Pavel Richter starts back the other way and finally has it taken away at the center line by Makarov, number 24. Now Krutov, who has scored one of the 2 Soviet goals. It was 1-0 after the first period, 2-0 right now. With a little bit more than 10 minutes remaining in the second period.
The game seems to be in a bit of a drift at the moment, and the Czechs have to snap it out. What's very impressive, of course, about the Soviets is we know what kind of an offensive scoring machine they are. And now we get an idea of what kind of an all-round game they can play. They've been in really no trouble throughout the whole game. The Czechs, who we know can be a good offensive team, even if they play from a defensive base, really haven't been able to generate anything. In part it has to do with them, but in part it has to do with a very solid and good Soviet defense.
Czech started the game with a flurry, but then the Soviets dominated 2/3 of the first period from maybe the 6-minute mark on. And the Czechs have really had only 1 significant shot on goal here in the second period. Tied up along the boards, and we have 10 minutes and 7 seconds remaining in the second period. The Soviets 2 and the Czechs nothing. Kovin shot, saved by Yaromir Šindel, and we'll have a face-off.
The chant that you hear often from the Czechoslovak fans is "Do toho," which basically means "let's go." And then to counter that, the Soviets you often hear shouting "Shaibu, Shaibu," which literally means score or a goal. Tonight they have 2 of them.
Wonder what the chant is for charge. Ludek Vukac. Another look here now. At the save by Šindel. From the face-off now. Lala, number 20, shooting it in, and TRETYAK almost got fooled by the bouncing puck. But it was not on line with the net. Now in front, backhander goes just wide off a deflection. Rusnak was almost able to put it in for the Czechs. Now TRETYAK leaving it for BILYALEDDINOV. Up ahead to Drozdiecki. He clears it to center ice, but it's taken there by the Czechoslovak captain Chernik. Retaken now by BILYALEDDINOV over to PERVUCHIN. Vasily PERVUCHIN, who played in 1980 with the Soviet team. Shumanov, a shot in just wide of the net. And the white-clad Czechs come back with Lukac, having it taken away by Drozdiecki, who has 10 goals in the Olympics. Drozdiecki fought off by Lukac in the corner. And Milan Halupa takes possession as he gets it over to Igor Liba. Nice pass up ahead to Lukac, who had the hat trick in the opener against Norway. The pass to Rusnak, who couldn't get the shot off. And back it comes to Kodlets. Czechs trying to apply the pressure here, but the Soviets are able to clear the zone. And in fact, it's Drozdiecki now moving in with Shumanov, and the pass was behind Shumanov.
So a good example there of what the outstanding goalie does to you, not just with blocking shots, but intimidating you. Lukac had a good chance. Instead, he elected to pass when he had very little chance to pass. But he knew that TRETYAK was there. He wanted an even better chance on that, and Liba was the one who would have had it.
And now we've got a whistle, and we've also got a penalty coming up on the Soviets. On Gerasimov for slashing. So he goes off, and again the Czechs have a chance to have the lead, with the Soviets on top 2-0.
We talked before about the effect of TRETYAK. You can see Lukac there being able to move in farther, having a good chance, and making the low percentage pass to Liba. Penalty on the last play. Gerasimov slashing at Erdina. The Czechs get another chance.
8:05 to go in the second period. Power play opportunity, and the initial shot with a man advantage goes high, and then it's cleared the length of the ice, where Šindel leaves it now for Svoboda. .7:45 remaining to be played in the second period. 2-0 is the score. Kuziska shooting it in. Follows his own carom and then sweeps it along the boards and all the way out as nobody was at the right point. Now this is Richter. Richter up ahead to center ice. Drop pass is intercepted. And finally cleared away as Krutov was able to poke check it away and nearly had a breakaway.
The Czechs are having the same trouble they've had on other power plays. They really haven't been able to get going.
55 seconds remaining now in the penalty. The Czechs 0 for 3 thus far today in power play chances. Shot in, Korvela sweeping it along the boards, but Kasatonov comes up with it for the Soviets and just flips it into the corner to kill off some more time.
But what's been discouraging is not necessarily that they haven't scored. They really haven't even threatened. And if there have been any good scoring chances in these circumstances, the Soviets have been the team that has had them.
And the Soviets have effectively killed off the first 129 of the penalty to Gerasimov, with 6 minutes and 36 seconds remaining now in the second period. The chipmunkish-looking Soviet coach, Viktor Tikhonov, and the Soviet partisans. There he is. Doesn't look like a tough guy, but we've seen him in action. He can be. Very well organized coach. And again, he was also the man behind the bench in 1980. Liba. Into the corner. 13 seconds remaining now in the penalty. And the Czechs have really not even gotten off a shot on goal of any consequence here. And in fact will not, as the penalty now expires. And the teams are back at full and equal strength. The puck came out past the blue line and brought back in, so we'll have a face-off with exactly 6 minutes to play in the period. 2-0, the Soviet Union.
Chevy Tuck is taking charge.
Farmers know machinery. Our livelihood depends.
The Czech coach. We're at the Zetra Arena. Al Michaels with Ken Dryden and Mike Eruzione. The Soviets and Czechoslovakia meeting for the gold medal in the final game of the Olympic hockey tournament. Earlier, Sweden clinched the bronze by shutting out Canada 2-0. Centering pass was deflected off the side of the cage, and back come the Soviets now. Skating in is Humanov. Written off the play. Back it comes, and Pervuchin can't keep it in at the point. Now Bilyaletinov shooting it all the way in, and this will create an icing call and a face-off in front of TRETYAK.
The Soviets have not been forcing the play very much lately, and it's meant that the Czechs, when they attempt to counterattack, are finding 3 or 4 Soviet players back, and the build-up becomes very slow, and when it's that slow, it all seems to fizzle out.
Alexander Kozhevnikov, number 29. He scored a goal in the first period at the 6:38 mark. The other goal coming early here in the second period at the 1:12 mark by Vladimir Krutov. 2-0, the Soviets on top. This is Gerasimov over to FETISOV. His pass up ahead for Shepelev. Winds up on the stick of Schindel, who had to make the easy save. He leaves it now for Erdina. Now Uvira over to Svoboda. Up ahead to Ruzicka. Slap shot is deflected off FETISOV's stick. He lost his stick and then pins it against the back of the cage, along with TRETYAK.
It's going to be up to players like Ruzicka, players also like Liba and Lala, the better scorers for the Czechs, to really do something. The Czech team has an awful lot of players who are just hard workers, who are effective in a game when the team is ahead. But when they're behind, you have to look to the scorers, and the scorers thus far really haven't threatened.
Less than 5 minutes remaining in the second period. Both men are waved off the face-off, and so it'll be Erdina on the face-off against Homatov. Kasatonov for the Soviets, clearing it to the neutral zone and taken there by Svoboda, who loses the puck. Shepelev's shot goes wide. A weak shot, partially deflected by Erdina's stick. And Kasatonov takes over again with Gerasimov coming back in over the blue line. Kocek back toward the blue line and cleared by the Czechoslovaks. Ruzicka's pass taken now by Richter. Uvira leaving it for Svoboda. Korbola just came off the bench but can't control that pass as FETISOV leaves it for Larionov, and back come the Soviets as they normally do very quickly. Larionov's shot is wide. Krutov tries to sweep it around the boards. And a scrap for it in the corner, and a face-off will occur here with 3 minutes and 57 seconds remaining in the second period.
A good example on that last play of how the Europeans effectively run interference for the player with for the puck carrier. Larionov came down the ice and was facing 2 Czech defensemen, but because of Krutov shadowing, setting almost a skating pick for him, he got an open chance.
Slap shot from the point was wide, and slapped in again by STELNOV. Makarov checked by Benok, comes out to the point again. That's deflected in front, but STELNOV keeps it in. Krutov going after the puck for the Soviets, not Korvalov. And a penalty coming up here for holding on Milan Halupa. So the Czechs will be shy a man as Halupa goes off at the 16:27 mark of the second period.
Krutov makes a wise play here. He is being held. The referee doesn't really see it very well until finally all of a sudden he just sort of throws himself down. Then the play becomes dramatic enough that it comes to the referee's attention and the penalty goes to Halupa.
So Halupa gone for the next 2 minutes.
2 years ago, Lederle Laboratories began research on a vitamin formula.
As the second period concludes, 3.5 minutes to go in the period, it's 2-0. This is Kasatonov. Larionov in the corner. Krutov, who has already scored once today. Krutov skates out in front of the net. Now FETISOV fakes that slap shot. Kasatonov slaps it in. It's wide. This is Makarov with Larionov buzzing in front of Schindel in the slot. Larionov setting up right in front of the goalie. Slapped in by FETISOV and deflected well back into the crowd.
Al, it's interesting to note right now, from what I remember when the Czechoslovakian team was playing the United States, they were a lot more aggressive when they were killing penalties. For some reason here, they seem to be just staying in that basic box and letting the Soviet players move it around.
I think perhaps part of that is that the Soviet team passes the puck so much better than the U.S. team does, that if they create that open man in close, they're going to score a goal. Whereas the U.S. team was nearly as successful at that.
1 minute and 22 seconds remaining in the penalty, and 2:55 remaining in the period. Kasatonov skates all the way in, tries to jam it in and can't. It's loose in front. Makarov had his shot deflected, and the pressure taken off, cleared to center ice. Penalty just about half over to Milan Halupa. 2.5 to go in the period. 2-0 the Soviet Union. Kasatonov with a slap shot that's blocked very nicely by Igor Liba. Picked up by Larionov. Again, Kasatonov. Soviets so adept at that touch pass as Krutov sought Makarov on the other end of the pass. He went down, but they were able to keep it in back of the net. Krutov now skates in, and Schindel got his stick on it to clear it to the side. Half a minute now remaining in the penalty to Halupa. Larionov out in front. Liba got his stick on it, and the shot comes in and is finally cleared out, and Schindel goes down with Makarov, and a penalty will come up here on the Soviets with 21 seconds left in the penalty to Halupa of the Czechs. Swedish referee Д.Олссон indicating the tripping call on Larionov, who goes to the box for the second time in this period.
FETISOV had a good chance there. Here you can see the penalty. Uvira blocked the shot, and as he had it all caught up in his chest, Larionov went by and just upended him.
Acting jobs are not indigenous to the West, we have discovered today.
They are not.
For the next 21 seconds, each team is a man shy. And then the Czechs will have a power play for 1:39. In fact, if they don't score, the penalty will carry over into the first 2 seconds of the second period as Drozdetsky comes up with the puck. Halupa getting ready to come out of the penalty box. Drozdetsky skates in. Down he goes. That penalty to Halupa is over, so the Czechs have a man advantage now for the balance of the period. Down 2-0. 1:22 left in the second period as the Czechs start back the other way. Down goes Richter. Good acting job there, but it didn't fool Olsson. No penalty is called.
The Czechs are known for that and are very good at it, but at times you can be a little bit too dramatic.
Now this is Lukács with a minute to go, and the Czechs for the power play. This is Lukács skating in. Drop pass for Liba. Liba trying to get it back to Lukács, and he couldn't set up for a shot. And Bilyaletinov tries to clear it away. The Czechs are able to keep it in, and it's pinned against the boards for a face-off with 43 seconds remaining in the period and 49 seconds left in the penalty.
We've said it before when the Czechs have had the power play that this really gives them a chance that they're otherwise not earning at even strength situations. Now they have just 43 seconds in the period, but they've got to get some sort of offensive feeling and generate that into this game. They've really had nothing up until now. And at this moment, they really, going into that third period, they can't even point to certain moments in the game to copy as the model that they want for that third period. They've got to start to generate something.
Benok starting back now. Half a minute to go. Lukács, a weak shot. Easy save by TRETYAK. And FETISOV clears it back to center zone. Benok with it. Stolen by Vasiliev and covered up by Schindel. Vasiliev nearly had a breakaway with 15 seconds now to play in the period.
Well, careless pass by number 9, Benok. But fortunately for the Czechs, the puck rolls close enough to Schindel that he can come out and get it.
15 seconds remaining in the period. Czechoslovakia with a man advantage. Soviets on top, 2-0. Gold medal at stake here at the Zetra. The final game of the tournament. Each team undefeated. Referee stepping in to redefine the positioning now on the faceoff. Comes out to Starikov, over to FETISOV. That's deflected off the stick of Kotlitz. 5 seconds to play now in the second period. And the third period will begin with a 6-second power play advantage, which is negligible, of course, for Czechoslovakia as they can't capitalize here. So we played 40 minutes with the score of the Soviet Union 2 and Czechoslovakia nothing.
Good morning.
2, Czechoslovakia nothing. Of course, this is a day that the Soviets have been pointing toward for some time. They won the gold in 1976. In fact, they won it in 64, 68, 72, and 76. Leading up to 1980, they consider what happened at Lake Placid an aberration, and they're right back online today. The score is 2-0, and Ken, even though they are not blowing Czechoslovakia out, they are dominating the game. And if you're Viktor Tikhonov, their coach, are you very happy at this point, or is there something else you'd like to see?
No, I think he would be very happy at this moment. The Czechs have a way of playing better as their opponent plays better. If their opponent is moving faster and faster, the Czechs will then themselves do it the same way. The Soviets have very cleverly toned down the pace of the game in that second period, and the Czechs have shown no offensive force whatsoever. In fact, really what they seem to be doing is trying to create the penalties with the dives, and that gives them their offensive opportunity. They're going to have to go out and forget the dives, get the penalties if they can, but really do something offensively this period.
Second period started with a score of 1-0, and the only goal came very early on. First we'll trace it on the puck path, then you'll see it on videotape.
That was a big goal, of course, for the Soviets. It began in their own zone with defenseman Kasatonov moving the puck up to number 11, Larionov. He makes a nice play in the zone, finds Krutov, open, and the goal resulted. Here we can see it on camera. КАСАТОНОВ to LARIONOV. Now the play is really made here by LARIONOV. The Czechs get back in good numbers, but watch, as he beats one, then the whole focus of the Czech defense's attention is on LARIONOV. All 5 players are watching him, leaving Krutov wide open and for the shot that beat Šindel.
That came at the 1:12 mark of the second period. The Czechs had some opportunities on power plays but couldn't capitalize, and so it's 2-0 at the end of the second period. And Mike Eruzione, it's obvious that Czechoslovakia has to generate some more offense. They have to try to get on the board, but how is that to be accomplished right now in the next 20 minutes?
Well, it's very difficult. They're playing against such a fine team as the Soviet Union. It's I think what they have to do is, obviously, like Kenny said, they've got to stay out of the penalty box, and they've got to try to play a 5-on-5 situation, and maybe even if they can get them in advantage, capitalize on that, on their own power play situation. But I think they have to just go all out for the next 20 minutes and really try to create opportunities. They're not going to be able to do it sitting back.
In other words, not play cautiously at all, and why not gamble a little bit, I suppose?
Well, not right away. I think they can wait a little while, but I think it's sort of like the other games that we've talked about and seen, that you can't sit back, especially if you look at the Canadian games, you can't sit back the whole period. They can sit back for a little while and hope to get a bounce or a break to make it 2-1 and then continue that way. But if they keep behind 2-0, they're going to have to make that decision sooner or later to go right at them and try to create some opportunities.
Score is 2-0, and a man who is very quietly having a perfect day for the Soviets, as usual, I suppose, is their goaltender. Some consider him to be the best in the world. His name, of course, is Władysław TRETIAK. Let's meet him up close and personal with Jim McKay. So, in effect, the Czechoslovaks need 3 goals, and that's going to be extremely tough. Władysław TRETIAK, his goals against average right there. In fact, he has now gone 109 minutes and 56 seconds, almost 2 full games, without allowing a goal. Yaромir ШИНДЕЛ had a streak of 163 minutes, broken in the first period. He had come off 2 consecutive shutouts. There he is, and he's played respectably today, but he trails by a score of 2-0.
Šindel has played well after the unfortunate goal in the first period, but at this moment the game is going into the hands of the forwards for Czechoslovakia, particularly players like Ruzicka and Rusnak and Liba and Lala. They're going to have to go out and score some goals. They have done very little up until now, even to the extent of getting good scoring chances. The Czechs are going to have to go out and start forcing the game, a style that they don't like to play, but they play pretty well, and they're going to have to do it now.
Third period starts with LARIONOV in the penalty box, but he will be out momentarily, just a 6-second advantage, and now the teams are at full strength. Czechoslovakia in white and the Soviets in red. Jaroslav Benok with the puck, number 9. Up ahead to center ice, taken there by Krutov to LARIONOV. He skates in, has it taken away, and back come the Czechs. But Solder is tied up by FETISOV. FETISOV tries to kick it loose. And now the Czechs come in on a long slap shot save by TRETIAK off the stick of Benok. Pashak goes down, and here comes LARIONOV back the other way. Krutov on the left wing. КАСАТОНОВ now. The defenseman shoots it in, and nice save by ШИНДЕЛ as he was partially screened. 2 men skating in front of him as the shot came in. MAKAROV now up along the boards and taken away at center ice. Brought back in by Kihos for the Czechs, number 16. In the second minute of the third period, Soviets on top 2-0, and an offside is the call here as the puck just did come back over the blue line. As you can see, the Soviets returning half of their silver medal Olympic team in 1980. 4 Czechoslovaks are back from 80.
But the 10 players that return for the Soviet team are in different roles now. That in 1980 they were the young players on the team, the rookies or players that had been on the team only 1 or 2 years. Now they're the core of the team. The FETISOVs and Krutovs, players like that. It is really only TRETYAK that remains in that leadership role as he had in 1980.
Kihos to Lala. Now Konlets with the puck. But the Soviets take it away at center ice. Vasiliev leaving it for Kovin. Schindel pushes it into the corner where Konlets comes up with the puck. 18 minutes to play. Soviet Union with a goal in each of the first 2 periods on top by a score of 2-0. Chernik, the scrappy captain, has it taken away at the blue line, but now Kihos follows it. Circles, is ridden off the play very nicely, and back it comes to center ice. This is Skvortsov, and he centered it, but Vasiliev couldn't backhand it in from in front. Now, Lukács to Leva in the corner. Out in front, he centers it for Uvira. As he spun around, the shot was deflected wide. And the Soviets quickly come back the other way. A slap shot by Grozieski goes into the corner. Kubanov centers it, nobody is there. Lukács now. Pass for Leva was behind him. And it's Grozieski shooting it in on Schindel. Right in on him, and he makes the save and covers up for a face-off with 16:57 to go in the game.
You know, Al, all along we've been talking about how fine a defensive team the Czechoslovakia team has. And I'll tell you, the Russians, the Soviet Union is really playing strong defensive hockey. There's a big save by Schindel, but they haven't been able to let the Czechoslovakia team get any offense.
Remaining bouncing puck. Saved by TRETYAK. There'll be no icing call here. Svoboda with it for the Czechoslovaks. Being hounded by Skvortsov. Shoots it in on TRETYAK. And he forces a face-off in the Soviet end with 14 minutes and 48 seconds remaining in the game.
The Soviets have put a mood on the game just the way they want at this moment. That there's not really much of a sense of the Czechs coming on. The Soviets are still in very good control.
Face-off in the Soviet end. Darius Rusnak on the face-off. But it's controlled by Tumanov of the Soviets. And this is FETISOV now with the puck. Shoots it up ahead, deflected into the Czech end. The icing is waved off as Lala quickly gets it up ahead, but Lukács can't clear the zone. Kept in by KASATONOV. He's taken out of the play. Leva now passing it up along the boards to Benok. Now to Lukács. Lukács with a slap shot and a save by TRETYAK.
Might have seen KASATONOV on that play. Early on, he was the one who generated the scoring chance on Schindel. The play comes back to the other end, and he's back there on defense. A few years ago, the defensive tandem of FETISOV and KASATONOV were known more as players of very different skills. KASATONOV being the defensive player. Now he has broadened his game, and he's almost as good an offensive player as his partner FETISOV.
Orzevic tried to keep it in, but couldn't as the puck came out just over the blue line, and thus a face-off in the neutral zone with 14:05 remaining in the game. From the face-off, Gerasimov and Shepelev are able to get it into the Czech zone, but now taken at center ice by Ruznicka. And a face-off here. So 13:52 remains in the game. It's 2-0 Soviets. Lively spirits Their team, though, is beginning to run out of time, with the Soviets on top 2-0, and the Soviets dominating the pace and tempo of the game. So the Czechs have had a couple of decent shots on TRETIAK here in the third period. Rivera over to Salder. Salder shoots it in on TRETIAK, and he makes an easy save. That effectively kills off a few more seconds, and 13:33 left now.
And as you've said before, Al, the Czechoslovak team must win. A tie is not good enough. And now with less than 14 minutes to go in the game, they have to score 3 goals. And with that man in goal, that is a daunting prospect.
TRETIAK in his 4th Olympics. He already has 2 golds and 1 silver. This is Pashek. Has the puck taken away by Bilyaletinov. He scoops it up ahead, and it's cleared out to center ice. Now Svoboda can't handle it in the neutral zone, and it's Makarov, number 24, skating with it. As it poked away by Korvela, but to the stick of Bilyaletinov. And he feeds it up ahead to LARIONOV. Shoots it in behind the net. Czechs trying to work it out, and they do as Chernik comes skating in on the left wing. And Chernik goes down as he made contact with Pervukin, but all legal, no penalty. And back come the Soviets, and it's shot in by Krutov and saved by Schindel. As the pace of the play now really picks up. 7.5 minutes into the third period. Back come the Czechs. Kihos or Chernik skating in over the right wing. Chernik looking to center it, broken up, and cleared back to the neutral zone.
Now this is the kind of pace that the Czechs need now. Now they've got to do something with it.
Benok over to Lala, and it was off the glove of TRETIAK. Just got a piece of it and then cleared back the other way. Minutes now remaining in the game. Long pass up ahead, too long though. However, back to get it is Rusnak. And we have a whistle.
Well, here's František Chernik, probably playing in his last game with the Czechoslovakian national team. Racing after the puck, getting the hip from Pervukin. He's a hard-working player. He's about 30 years old. And for Chernik, players like Lukács, perhaps for Richter, this is their last chance. And in many ways, they are the real character of this Czech hockey team. There are some better offensive players, but the Czech team is not a smooth team. It's not a spectacular team. It is a hard-working and effective team. And it comes from the players like Chernik and Richter.
This is Chumanov skating in after the puck for the Soviets. Since he gets there first, there is no icing. Grozdiecki tried to stuff it in as he came around from behind the net. And it's tied up, and they begin to mix it. At the side of the net as Grozdiecki goes down and loses his helmet in the process. He's had quite a tournament. 10 goals and 2 assists coming into the game today.
Here's Grozdiecki again, trying to stuff it in the corner. Not quite managing, but he's been, as Al said, a very effective player in the Olympics. He is not the prototype Soviet forward. He is much taller. He is not as quick. He was on the verge of being replaced this year, but he has picked up his pace, had a good season, and an even better Olympics.
Face off now in the Czech end. And it's cleared out to center ice. Kasatonov leaves it for Shumenev. Into the corner he goes, and then it's tied up. And Grozdiecki getting into it momentarily, along with number 12, Pavel Richter.
You can sense a little bit of frustration building now among the Czechs. The action behind the net, a little bit of extra shoving. But after the pace picked up there momentarily, it seems to have quietened down again, just as the Soviets would want, just as the Czechs would not.
2-0 is the score. 11:24 remaining in the game. Shot in. Comes out to the point now where Letinov. He couldn't control the puck, and back comes Richter. Richter for the Czechoslovak shoots it into the corner. Now Svoboda tries to center it. Comes back into the corner on the near side. Rivera scrapping for it. Erdina trying to get it onto the stick of number 17, Ruzicka, but he couldn't get the shot away. And finally taken by Chumanev. As he skates in over the blue line, he's met by Svoboda, and we're going to have a penalty coming up. So exactly what the Czechs did not need at this point as we approach the halfway mark of the third period. With just 10:41 remaining in the game, they've got to kill a penalty.
You can see the penalty developing here. The Soviet player coming down and being tripped, knocked down by Erdina.
So the score remains Soviet Union 2, Czechoslovakia nothing. Into the penalty box for 2 minutes. Soviets with a man advantage. They have scored in each of the first 2 periods, leading here in the battle for the gold medal, 2-0. The shot by Bilyaletinov is saved and deflected back over the glass.
Now, it's interesting now with 9:29 already being played in the hockey game, a little over 10 minutes left to play, that it's not so important now that the Soviet Union score a goal. It's just more so important that for 2 minutes, the Czechoslovakian team is not going to have a real good opportunity offensively to do anything. So for the Soviet Union's point of view is you're just killing 2 more minutes off the clock and just making it that much more difficult for them to score that 3 goals that they need.
Mike mentioning 3 goals, that's the case again. You joined us late, the game winds up as a tie because of goal differential. The Soviets would win the gold medal. But Fetisov getting it over to Krutov, who shot in, goes around the boards. Fetisov now to Kasatonov. And it's finally cleared out by Milan Halupa. Cleared the length of the ice, and Larionov goes back to get it. Igor Larionov with 1 minute and 17 seconds remaining now in the penalty to Yuri Erdina. Kasatonov circling. Now Fetisov, number 2, as the Soviets uncharacteristically are having a little trouble getting it out of their own end here.
Well, as Mike said, though, they're content to do it this way, that while the Czechs are killing the penalty, they're killing the clock.
Kasatonov loses the puck to Lala. Lala now back to Orzheva. And the Czechs try to eat up as much time as they can to kill off this penalty. Then it's shot back into the Soviet end with 40 seconds remaining in the penalty to Erdina. Fetisov to Makarov. Under a half minute now left in the penalty to Erdina. It's Bilyaletinov, and that's a save by Schindel. Has the upper half of his stick on it. Makarov now can't center it, and it's picked up by Liba, but he loses it to Makarov. 8 seconds left in the penalty. Shot off the leg of Liba. Liba tries to get it out and does, and the penalty is now over, so the teams are back at full strength.
I don't think Makarov there realized what a good chance he had. Instead, he circled back, took the shot, and it was knocked away.
Here is Erdina, the man who just vacated the penalty box. We have 8:30 remaining in the game. 2-0 the Soviets on top. There has been a shutout thus far in each game in the medal round. On Friday, the Soviets shut Canada out. The Czechs shut Sweden out. And earlier today, Sweden clinched the bronze with a 2-0 shutout over Canada. Here it's 2-0 Soviets. 8 minutes to go in the game. Teams in full strength. Richter trying to free the puck. Knocked down by Fetisov and cleared back the other way. Lennox is ridden out of of the play. The puck is taken away by Holmatov. Starikov tried to shoot it in. It was deflected in front, now brought back out to center ice. Sergei Starikov to PERVUCHIN. Long shot, saved by Schindel, and a face-off.
It was a curious thing that, as you mentioned, in the medal round, these games would be decided by shutout. Now, certainly in order to get to the medal round, you really do need that strong defensive base and strong goaltending. But we're also seeing the best offensive teams in the Olympics. I think in many ways it is what we said before about when you get at this topmost level and on this larger rink, you don't get so many of the chance goals, the goals that bounce in off legs and so on. There is more open space, and you need the top skill plays in order to beat the goalies, in order to beat the defense to beat the goalies.
Here is Korvela now skating in for the Czechs, but has it broken up. Soviets doing a great job picking them up with the blue line as Korvela comes in. Now into the corner, Pashek. But PERVUCHIN is able to clear it, but it's kept in from the point. And a penalty is coming up here on Czechoslovakia as Dusan Pashek got his stick entangled with the Soviet skater, and he'll be removed for 2 minutes.
Well, I think Pashek not only got his stick entangled, but I think that he probably used his skate and leg pretty well. There's Starikov with the puck. Watch from behind, just kicking the leg out from underneath Starikov, and Pashek gets the penalty.
We have 6:56 left in the game. In the penalty box for Czechoslovakia, and again they are faced with a situation now where they need 3 goals to win the gold medal. Time is running out. They have a man in the penalty box, and the Soviets are on the verge of recapturing the gold medal they last won in 1976.
I think the game's more or less history right now, Al. Even though there's still some time left, I don't see the Czechoslovakian team putting any type of consistent pressure on TRETÍAK. And if they have to keep killing penalties off, obviously they're not going to have any opportunities. And I just don't think they can score 3 goals.
This is Liba. Liba skating in. Liba goes down. And back come the Soviets with Chumanov. Leaving a drop pass towards Grozdievsky, and back it comes the other way. 1 minute and 15 seconds remaining in the Czechoslovakian penalty. Kasatonov waiting at the point, looking for a centering pass, gets it back off the deflection. Grozdievsky with it. Has it taken away and cleared the length of the ice. But the Czechs have to do more than just kill a penalty here with under 6 minutes to play in the game. You've got 50 seconds now remaining in the penalty. FETISOV to Larionov. Makarov now. Comes out to the point where FETISOV can't handle it. And the Czechs clear the zone. Arnold Kodlec chases it down in the corner and clears it down the ice. So they're doing a very effective job killing the penalty. Soviets 0 for 4, but that's hardly relevant right now because the Soviets are, with each succeeding tick of the clock, getting that much closer to the gold medal.
I think this is the time for us now just to watch the Soviet team. And they are an outstanding hockey team. They can play many different levels, many different styles of play. We can see them being explosive. Now we can see them go into a puck control game. And if they've got the puck, the Czechs sure don't. And they can't threaten at all. The Soviets are just moving it around. If they get a great chance, that's fine. If not...
This is Krutov slipping it through the crease as the teams are at equal strength. Krutov from his knees to Larionov, and a save by Schindel. And then Makarov can't get his stick on the puck, and back come the Czechs quickly. But Salder has it broken up by Starikov.
There was one Czech On the attack, Solder, there were 4 Soviets back.
Icing call here. 4 minutes and 11 seconds remaining in the game. Remaining in Olympic competition, in fact, as this event closes out the competition in the Olympics. Another look now at the last save.
The Soviets must have controlled the puck for about 30 seconds or so in the Czechoslovakian zone. And in hockey, that is something that is very hard to do. It's not like playing ball control in basketball. In hockey, it is very hard to keep possession of the puck for any length of time. And the Soviets did it there for about half a minute.
That's a point eloquently made by Ken Dryden in his best-selling book, The Game. Out to center ice. Uvira. Can't control it. Now Bilyaletinov. Moving it up ahead. 3:45 remaining in the game. Soviets on top 2-0. No penalty call here.
I think there was another situational non-call that was clearly a penalty for interference. The Soviet player didn't have the puck at all, but I think because of the score, the referee decided not to call the penalty.
This is Skvortsov. Pennock takes the puck away, but Kovin skates in after it. Soviet fans chanting. They can smell it now. Their team on the verge of winning the gold medal as Kovin's shot is blocked by Pennock. Schindel comes out to sweep it out past the blue line, and Chernik starts the rush the other way to Lukács, but it's broken up by Kasatonov. Scrap for in the corner. Kovin lost his helmet, also took a blow to the side of the head, and a penalty is coming up as TRETYAK vacates the net. So they have an extra skater on the ice for the Soviets. If the Czechs gain possession here, a whistle will stop play, and what stops play is an offside instead. And a penalty coming up now to Czechoslovakia. So it's academic at this point. 2.5 minutes to go in the game, a 2-0 lead, and a man going into the penalty box for the Czechs. It will be number 29, Lukács. 2:30 to go. Soviet Union 2 and Czechoslovakia nothing. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the hockey game. Soviets on top 2-0. And a tie for them is as good as a win when it comes to winning the gold. For the Czechs with an almost impossible task, down a man, and in effect down 3 goals in their bid for the gold medal. 2 minutes to go in the game. Kasatonov up ahead. Soviets not really looking to mount anything at this point. Just to utilize the rest of the clock. Grozdievsky skating in. And we'll have a face-off. So what it amounts to is that the Soviet Union, which entered Olympic hockey competition in 1956 and won the gold that year, they took the bronze medal in 60, won the gold in 64, 68, 72, 76, the silver in 80, and the gold again here.
You can see the anticipation on Coach Viktor Tikhonov's face. He was very heavily criticized. Look, he's still working his stopwatch now, checking how long the lines are on, even though there's only a minute and a half to go. But he was heavily criticized after Lake Placid, and there was some doubt whether he would remain as coach. But he is very much in control. And this is Viktor Tikhonov's team. This is a team that is made in his image as no veteran team can be. The 1980 team was the remnants of a past time. That it was a team that was a veteran team. Tikhonov took over that veteran team and couldn't really put his stamp on it. This team plays very much the way he wants them to play. They are playing at a faster pace all the time, and with that faster pace, there is more body contact. And in a way, they're starting to put together the possession game and the pressure game, and you can see the results.
In this tournament now, The Soviet Union has outscored the opposition 48-5. They lead here 2-0 with 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining in the game. Still 38 seconds remaining in the penalty to Erdinov, Czechoslovakia. A lot of people, especially in the West, were very surprised that Tikhonov, after 1980, was given the opportunity, as Ken said, to remain as the coach. But the Soviets, the public and the press, look back upon 1980 as just one of those things, an aberration, and maybe so. It's something, of course, that the people who witnessed it in the United States will never forget. But here are the Soviets on the verge of recapturing the gold medal and doing it in very impressive fashion.
Although there are 10 players on this team that were on the team in 1980, the only player that remains from 1976, the only player who has a gold medal in his possession is the goaltender TRETYAK. And now he will have 3.
Sapporo, Innsbruck, and now he'll have one to take home from Sarajevo, Yugoslavia. Just 20 seconds remaining in the game. A goal in the first period, then an early goal in the second. 2-0 to score. It's one of those games in which the game is not really as close as the score would indicate necessarily. The Soviets controlled the pace and the tempo of the game. Scored the 2 goals. TRETYAK with a shutout, and the gold medal belongs to the Soviet Union.
You can hear the Soviet fans chanting, "Молодцы, молодцы, bravo, bravo." The team is a very deserving victor.
So the Soviet Union wins it. The final score 2-0. A very happy team, obviously. And Mike, I'm sure that the thoughts that you have right now as you watch a celebration of a different ilk have to take you back, though, 4 years.
Oh, that's a little different. Well, Herb smiled briefly like that in 1980 after we won. I don't know if he may be crying a little, too, because I saw him wiping his eyes.
Yeah.
It was interesting to watch the players throw their sticks in the stands. You should go down and see if I can get one.
Well, they took a page out of the book of you fellas in 1980. But Tikhonov, who has that, not necessarily a stern look, but a very serious look throughout the Olympics, with a big smile. He's got the gold back as the Soviet Union defeats Czechoslovakia at the Zetra Arena.